What is happening on the global platform at the minute? Well, I'll quote BBC and I'll tell you what's happening. The President of the United States is not just the leader of his country, he's probably the most powerful person on earth. What he does changes life for all of us. You must have got me by now. Yes, today on my show Voice, I am definitely going to be talking about whether it should be Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Who? Well, you must be thinking, have I gone crazy? It's already Joe Biden. Well, no, technically it's not. It is on the 14th of December, 2 days from now, that we actually get to hear the greatest news, whether it is finally Joe Biden, which we think is, or Donald Trump. But to talk about more of this and who sits on the chair of the President of United States of America makes a difference to the rest of the world, particularly to that of UK. We're going to talk about all of this with my special guest, Mr. Mohammed Tausif. Good afternoon, Mr. Tausif.
Good afternoon, Anu.
Well, I hope you can hear me very clearly.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, and thank you very much for having me at your show
Okay.
today.
Wow, that's wonderful. You must be wondering who Mr. Tausif is. Well, if he is a guest in my show Voice, he must be something very special. I'll give you a glimpse into his profile. He is a defense analyst and an author on foreign relations and international security. He's also an alumni of Oxford and Surrey and a distinguished fellow of the International Community and member of Royal United Services Institute. He is also a lecturer with Leeds Trinity University. Having said that, must tell you that this is just a small bite from his weighty profile. It is not everything that he is. He's much more than the words that can define him. But getting him on my show means I leave no chance of throwing the most intricate questions looming in the air at the minute. Welcome again.
Uh, Thank you, Anu. Thank you very much for this kind intro. I would say I don't know I deserve much of it. I'm just a learner. I'm just trying to be precise, slowly and gradually. But thanks a lot. It's good to be at your show.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes me feel special too. Okay. Without further ado, I will take you through the questions. Who, according to you, would be a better president of the United States of America? Well, this is not a political question. This is your opinion. Who? Because you have been studying these scenarios for a long time. Who do you think would be the better president for United States of America, for their country?
Well, I don't want to be judgmental at all, but obviously, based on my own experience, as you have said, and based on how I see the world at the moment and as I see America, I would refer to Joe Biden's tweet, his very recent tweet. He has tweeted a few days ago that he's given reference to Bible in his tweet. That Bible tells us that to everything there is a season, a time to build, a time to reap, a time to snow, and a time to heal. And this is the time to heal in America. So I've quoted Joe Biden himself. So I also see him as somebody who is going to heal the American population, who's going to heal the American economy, and who's going to bring back the leadership that the Americans have been missing for the last 4 years or so since President Trump was elected. And the relations between Americans and between their foreign allies that have been soiled to a great extent, especially the relationship with the EU and the relationship with NATO. So I see Joe Biden as someone, as a leading figure who's going to bridge those gaps again, and he is going to bring the Americans back at par and back at equilibrium with the foreign community and with their partners. So I definitely see him as a better option, as a better democratic, as a better viable and a better sensible option for the United States of America. And I hope this time the matters of the American people and the American government, they would be governed via proper platforms and not just by Twitter.
Yes, yes, certainly. Now, well, sitting here, I don't know to what extent we should be laughing at all of this. I mean, you could take that as a more of a social stunt that maybe the previous president was using. Can't tell. Well, it is a changing world. Every day we see something new happening. So
It
maybe
is
that
indeed.
was Trump's kind of talking to his people. But well, that was going to be my second question, but you have already answered it. That who would be better for the rest of the world? So, in your opinion, Joe Biden would be getting a few extra points. And you think, as of now, that he is going to be a better leader even for the rest of the world?
Yes, I truly believe so, and there are solid reasons to believe in that manner. Joe Biden has a vast experience behind him. He has been a foreign policy expert. He has served on various foreign policy, sorry, committees previously in the U.S. He has been the vice president. He's led United States of America as a deputy for 8 consecutive years during President Barack Obama's reign, and he is the one who basically has strengthened NATO at that time, and he has played a very vital, very important role in the war against terror, which was at the forefront of American policy and the policy of the Allied partners at that time. He's the one who has already demonstrated commitment against the global climate issues, against the COVID-19 issues, whether it is American issues as far as COVID-19 is concerned, or the global issues. Plus, he is the one who has made some sense by giving some, I would say, initial gestures towards getting back to JCPOA, the Iranian nuclear deal. So I think he wants to bring the coalition partners back on the table, and he has also given an indication of joining the Paris Accord again. So yes, he is making more sense as compared to President Donald Trump and the European Union. The European leaders, they have developed some insecurities because of the various statements and because of the various political stunts of Donald Trump in the previous 4 years. So the healing process is definitely going to take some time.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. The president of China, Russia, they've all started saying in the previous 4 years that there is not just one superpower in the world now. So Americans should not be seen as the sole leaders. So Joe Biden, he accepts that challenge and he realizes that this is something that Americans, they really need to work on again.
Yeah.
So he needs to do a careful surgery to get America back on track. The way he has acted in his campaign, the promises, the priorities that he has set in his campaign, they are very evident. They are very clear that he wants the leadership role of America again, and that role cannot be achieved without the help of the coalition forces and without the help of the coalition nations. So he has made that very clear. So the Trump's dream of America's first, and then Joe Biden's notion of bringing or making America the world leader again. There's a difference between these two notions, and based on how he has grown up politically, if you look at his age group, forget about everything else. I think he is going to be the eldest president in the history of United States of America. So there is a lots and lots of experience that is coming in.
Yeah, that he brings with himself. True.
Yes, in the form of Joe Biden, and I'm sure he's going to harness and get more support from all over the world as compared to what Trump has gained.
Well, yes, I'm going to get into all of that. I need loads of explanations from you, need to understand a lot, and I believe our listeners also want to know a lot at the minute. But before going into the more important questions, a quick, rapid fire question to you. Joe Biden or Donald Trump, who is better choice for the UK at the minute?
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Yes, you know what? This is coming out quite natural now. isn't it?
It is.
I don't know how this happened. This should not have, ideally, but this has happened. Somehow, we are probably tipping on the other side. It would have been better probably for UK. Now let's get into a little more details to understand why you are saying this. The political scenario tells us that this should have been a better choice for the UK. Why and how has this all happened? Let's get into the next part of our discussion, where I would like to ask you whether do you think Britain outside EU will be less useful for Washington now?
Well, I completely agree with you. I can't agree more. In fact, on this with you, I'll share a personal, incident with you. I had the opportunity to meet with and listen to Joe Biden in October 2018. So he was in London at that time, and he was at Chatham House. So I was at Chatham House, luckily, at that day. So I've heard his speech. So one thing that I literally can't take out of my memory is what he said about Brexit and Great Britain. So at that time, nobody knew this guy will become president elect of United States one day. So he said that from the United States perspective, US interests are diminished with Great Britain not being an integral part of Europe and being able to bring influence. Now, that's quite alarming, and I think that answers many questions. Uh, Getting or having UK out of EU, and Brexit happening. So obviously, United Kingdom and the Democrats in America, they are completely on two different or two far corners of the same table. I mean, when Brexit was about to happen, and when President Barack Obama, he was the president of the United States of America, even at that time, Obama and Joe Biden, if you remember, they both were in opposition to Brexit. Even at that time, Boris Johnson was not a prime minister at that time. So he used to write columns at that time, and then he became the mayor of London as well. He, even in those days, he was a very key advocate for the Brexit, and especially I'm sure you know the main concern of Northern Ireland as well. So not to forget that Joe Biden, he's a very Irish American president now, a president elect, I would say. And after JF Kennedy, I think he's the second very Irish president that Americans are going to get. So obviously, that Irish culture, that Irish background, that Irish past, it has been transformed into his blood quite a lot. And he himself, he has clearly said on many occasions that he is not going to make any compromise on the Good Friday deal or on the Northern Ireland deal, and that may jeopardize the US UK upcoming trade deal as well. So, having said that, but happening Brexit, obviously Brexit has already taken place. Now it's a matter of settling the deal with the European Union. So this step that has taken place in America, it is an alarming sign uh, for the United Kingdom as well. So Boris Johnson and his team, they have to act more wise, as they were expecting Donald Trump to be elected again. Now there is no Donald Trump in Washington; it is Joe Biden. So which means
So
now
you're kind of, sorry interrupting you, but you are absolutely sure that there's no more chance for Donald Trump, are you?
I don't think so. I mean, Americans, they
His
are.
his his party and his side is still keeping on saying that we'll come in smoothly. God knows how.
I think that's very childish of him. I would say it's not a better word to describe that. I mean, Americans are one of the biggest. They are the world's biggest democracy, and the world has learned democratic norms from them, or sometimes I would say so-called democratic norms from them. So they are the ones who themselves, they are, if they are speaking against their own electoral process or their own democratic process. So I think their own philosophy. I mean, on the basis of their core values, and democracy is a core value for them as well. They have literally ruined peace in many countries all over the world. We have seen it happening in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, in many parts of the world, in Yemen, where they have taken the flags of democracy. But now, having said that, if they are saying that their own democracy is in danger at the moment, which indirectly Trump is saying it, I don't think it make any sense at all. So
Yes, yes.
it's going to overwrite all the efforts that they have done in the past many years, and it is going to jeopardize the democratic processes in United Kingdom and their allies as well. So I
Yeah.
don't think it makes any sense whatever he's saying.
Just imagine this at this point in time, fraud. is the most, the most popular and most Googled word, just because it has been used so many million times by Donald Trump. Can you imagine? And that is clearly hit against democracy. I mean, he has used many a times the word fraud against democratic policies. Now, that really questions what to believe or what not to believe.
I,
So,
I I completely agree with you, but I would again call this, he has been making these statements. He has been giving these, baseless statements. He has done it many times in the past 4 years. So I think the world is not going to take this statement more seriously.
any more seriously,
On
yes,
the
it looks
basis
like
of the
that.
experience, yeah, on the basis of the experiences that we already have, with the Donald Trump. But then once again, the most important part for United Kingdom, if United Kingdom still, because if you should still remember Barack Obama when he was the president. So at that time, Barack Obama was leaning more towards Germany as compared to UK when this for leadership in European Union and for a more strengthened partnership. Now Joe Biden has served under Barack Obama. He has taken his, I would say, mentorship under Barack Obama. So a Biden presidency, it will strengthen the case for the United Kingdom to prioritize the need for a broader post-Brexit agreement with the European Union, especially on foreign and security policy. Now, if the UK wants to be one of the main bridges between Europe and US on international affairs, or if Boris Johnson still wishes to be the main leader when it comes to US and EU, so the more responsibility, as I see, I may be wrong, but as I see, it will be on UK to show that it is making every effort to repair the European arc of that bridge. So, for example, UK has to take now some modest steps. For example, they have to think about an information sharing security agreement, some mutual secondments of diplomatic and intelligence personnel, regular post-Brexit meetings with senior ministers and officials, and just to create the atmosphere for doing so. Because if there was Trump in the office again, so UK would not have to make any effort at all.
Any efforts?
But now having Joe Biden in the office, yes, people sitting in 10 Downing Street, they need to work a lot now. They need to
Yes,
work.
I must quote Joe Biden's 2019 quote, what he said about Boris Johnson. He called him a physical and emotional clone
Emotional
of
clone, yeah.
Trump. That's very alarming. That's very alarming at this point of time. And I believe that's going to make a lot of pressure on 10 Downing Street. What do you think? I mean, don't you think that's going to be quite a lot of pressure at the moment?
Well, uh, no, to be honest, it has already created a lot of pressure on 10 Downing Street, because and a lot of credit goes to Trump, and some credit goes to Boris Johnson as well, because the way Boris Johnson has cultivated his relationship with Trump, or the way he has portrayed his relationship with Trump, it has already caused some eyes to grow among the Democrats. And it's not about President-elect Joe Biden only, but if you talk about the Vice President-elect in America, who's a lady. So she's even more concerned about Boris Johnson. If you ask my opinion, if you ask my research. Now, if you look at the history between the two leaders, between Biden and between Boris Johnson, so history is not very good, and their history in fact has been quite, what I would say, hostile. So Boris Johnson, he has given some very derisive, comments about Joe Biden's close friend Barack Obama, and comments that he has been saying and he has been writing in the past few years. They are regarded as a source of potential animosity for Biden. And then Johnson, he has given some derisive comments, on Hillary Clinton as well, a few years ago. Now, Biden has got deep respect for Hillary Clinton as well, and that may also be, what you call it, a potential problem or potential, rivalry between the two. And then, as I said before, the degree to which Boris Johnson, he has embraced Trump, it is also widely speculated to be a point of bother that Biden may hold. Look, I've gone through some reports that say that Johnson is viewed even more negatively by the vice president-elect, Kamala Harris, and that members of the Biden-Harris team, they do not consider Johnson to be an ally and rule out the possibility of a special relationship with him. So I think Boris Johnson and his team, they need to do a lot of groundwork. They need to do a lot of hard work. First of all, to change that initial impression that
Yes.
that the special relationship, as we all call it, exists between US and UK, not between two people. The
Yes.
relationship is between two countries. The relationship is between between two nations, not between
Yeah.
two people. So I think they need to do quite a lot in order to
Yes,
cut.
they need to work on it now, real hard. It's time for, yeah, Downing Street to start working on it very seriously.
Of
Otherwise,
course,
we
I
don't
mean
know.
when he became when obviously the results of the election started coming out. So obviously the world leaders, they started calling Joe Biden to congratulate him. So another thing that I have observed, that the office of the president-elect Joe Biden, they have issued summaries of the telephone conversations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, between the different leaders. Now, of course, not to my surprise, but I think it would be quite interesting for your viewers to know that the document that they have issued, in that document, the first description of the call that they have given was the call from the president of France.
Okay.
The second call was from Germany, Angela Merkel. The third description was from Ireland, and they put Boris Johnson at the end
Okay.
uh, in that document. Now, obviously, one, two, three, four does not really matter, but optics really matters in politics. We all understand that. So that is something. And then, secondly, they have issued a summary of the call between Boris Johnson and Joe Biden as well. So they have whatever they have discussed. The priorities were written in that letter. So I'll tell you what were the priorities discussed: COVID-19, global climate challenges, global health security, Western Balkans, Ukraine, NATO, and Good Friday Agreement. There was no Brexit discussed, and there was no UK US trade deal discussed in that first conversation at all. So these are some very genuine, some very valid signals, and I think it is the responsibility of people sitting in 10 Downing Street to pick up those signals and start working on them.
Yes, yes. So, having said that, I would quickly like to know what, according to you, are the top three priorities for a Biden administration. What, according to you, are going to be the first three priorities?
See, if you ask me, I mean, I'm going to once again, go to Joe Biden himself, his words as well, because during the election campaign, they have clearly announced their priorities. So, according to him, their three priorities are, for example, they want to get the pandemic under control in US. Then they want to heal the national divisions. I mean, obviously, the damage that Trump has done. Then his third priority is to reinvigorate the US economy. Now, if you could see that, interestingly, in these three top priorities, there is no mention of foreign policy. See? But then, once again, Biden has again said that he wishes to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. He wants to rejoin the World Health Organization, WHO. He wants to restore the support for United Nations, re-engage in arms control treaties, re-engage with NATO, and even try to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal as well. But as I have told you, what he has clearly said during his campaign and even after becoming president-elect as well, so his focus is more in-house, not outside at the moment. So he wants to bring America fully under control. He wants Americans to heal at the moment, and then he's going to give priority to any other foreign agenda or any other foreign thing. And plus, why I'm saying this. I mean, Joe Biden is not a normal American president who will require a briefing or a tutorial on foreign relations. He has been a vice president for 8 years. He has served on the foreign policy committees for many, many, many years. And he is the one who has put more than enough support to NATO. So he knows what he's talking about. But then once again, in his top priorities, he has not mentioned any foreign policy at all. So that again may raise some eyebrows in on 10 Downing Street.
Yeah, yeah. But I'll take you completely afar from that and talk about a little more about UK.
Mhm.
And well, we have been already talking about UK US relations, but let's get to the trade deal a little more. Well, I know these are going to be all speculations from our point of
Yes.
and it will reflect more of our point of view as we understand, but still, let's talk about it. what I have accumulated as of now, and we already know that US is the second biggest export market after EU for UK. Now, a favorable condition would mean a good negotiation and a quick deal. But while there is no reason to suspect a Biden presidency would oppose the principle of a deal, which till now possibly has been crafted with UK, is there a question over whether he would prioritize it to same degree as President Trump, or we'll get a completely different scenario? It'll be
No,
put.
no, I think, in my opinion, in principle, there won't be much differences between Donald Trump and between Joe Biden
Okay.
when it comes to the deal. But then one thing is very clear. If you look at UK's own statistics, for example, these trade deals, their talk started in May 2020 and they ended the last month. Now, our own Department for International Trade in March, it said that even if a UK-US ideal trade deal takes place, it is only going to boost the UK economy by just 0.16%, or which is $3.4 billion, and again 15 years from any agreement. So, which if even if this trade deal it takes place, it is not going to create an overall significant impact for the economy of United Kingdom. Now, having said that, this trade deal may benefit some individual industries in terms of tariffs and duties, such as the Scotch whiskey, cars, ceramics, and cheese and etc. Then once again, while the former the vice president, who is Joe Biden, in his own style, he is less prone to launching trade wars or hitting America's partners with tariffs. He's a very straightforward man. He could work in UK's favor, but then at the same time, he has embraced a buy American economic policy, which is focused on domestic companies after the pandemic, meaning that there is less likely be a focus on striking new trade deals abroad. Well, there is no reason to suspect a Biden presidency would oppose the principle of a deal with the UK. Still, there is a question over whether he would prioritize it to the same degree as President Trump. And yes, there are certain speculations as well that a UK-US trade deal, it would be unlikely to be in place before 2023. So let's see what is going to happen.
Okay, that explains a bit. Well, we'll have to wait and watch for things to take their shape, as I understand. Next, because we have only 2 minutes to go, before that, I would ask something that's been lurking in my mind for long now. Britain's foreign policy. For 50 years, it had two pillars: its membership with the EU and a foreign alliance on issues with European colleagues. And on the second, the relationship with United States. How do you think a Biden presidency will affect these both pillars?
Yes, I agree with you. These two have been the main pillars. Now, as UK has chosen to leave the European Union, so we will still have various European relationships, but they will be informal and they will take time to develop, and they certainly won't be institutionalized in the same way. So logically, this means that UK, it has to try and build on its American relationship or the Commonwealth and various other people. But of all the various other people around the world, the Americans would obviously be the most important. Now, in theory, you would have thought a Trump-Johnson relationship is the obvious candidate in the short and medium terms. They like each other. In the personal terms, they seems to get on with each other. But having Biden in office, it will not be easy to normalize things. The United Kingdom has to show commitment towards the Brexit deal, and they have to show commitment towards the Good Friday Agreement. So that is going to pretty much form the basis of a good relationship with the new president-elect, or with the new government that is forming in the United States.
Okay, we are short of time, cannot take this conversation any further, but very good news for the listeners. If you have been taking real good interest into this, then I must tell you that we will retain our guest with us for the next week. So meet you same time, same place next week with the same guest, and we'll continue with this discussion, just not about Joe Biden or Donald Trump and his impact, whoever the president finally becomes, his impact on UK, but also the rest of the world, which would include South Asian countries too. And next week, that'll be our point of focus. So Here's saying goodbye to all my listeners and viewers on Facebook Live. If you have just been listening to us, you now get the opportunity to also see us live through our Facebook page. So we are going Facebook Live every single day during our interviews. Thank you, Mr. Tausif, for now, but I will be eagerly waiting for next week's follow up interview with you. Thank you and bye.
Thank you very much. God bless. Thank you.